Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on Mitv. I'm Victor Daniels. In the news, the federal government has flagged off a free nationwide financial inclusion and training for 10 million Nigerians with priority for youth and women. The program, coordinated by the Office of the Vice President through the Presidential Committee on Economic and Financial Inclusion, aims to equip participants with essential financial investment and digital skills for sustainable wealth creation. The Vice President Kashim Shettima, who performed the flag off on behalf of President Bola Tinubu at the Presidential Villa in Abuja, said Nigeria can only reap its demographic dividend if young people and women are properly skilled and ethically grounded for the digital economy. And as part of the initiative, the federal government signed a memorandum of understanding with 6 professional bodies, including ICANN, CIBN, CIS, NICA, CRMI, and NIIE, to jointly design a training program, certification pathways, digital skills initiatives, and mentorship platforms. The Vice President described the agreement as a strategic investment in human capacity, stressing that financial inclusion goes beyond access to competence, trust, and capability.
I'm pleased to join you today at this important moment in Nigeria's economic journey. Today's signing of the MOU between the Office of the Vice President through the Presidential Committee on Economic and Financial Inclusion and 6 of Nigeria's foremost professional bodies is more than a formal agreement. It is a strategic national investment in capacity building as well as in infrastructure, which is the human, institutional, and ethical foundations upon which inclusive growth rests. The ASO Accord on Economic and Financial Inclusion, with the Presidential Committee on Economic and Financial Inclusion mandated us to implement, recognizes a simple truth. Financial inclusion is not achieved by access alone, but by competence, trust, and capability. We cannot build a $1 trillion economy on weak skills, fragmented standards, or disconnected professional ecosystems. This MOU therefore establishes a working framework to harness the collective expertise of ICANN, CIBN, CIS, CRMI, NICA, and NIIE to advance inclusion through capacity building, advocacy, digital transformation, youth empowerment, and support for small and medium practitioners.
The importance of this agreement we signed with the Office of Vice President is to financial inclusion. What we have to do is also financial literacy, and that's why I can come in because of our widespread of members and also our ability to ensure that the 10 million targets that we want to train is achieved. So the essence of this agreement to us is very important, that we are signing an agreement for financial inclusion so that everybody in Nigeria will come into formal sector, and that will help even the new tax law so that people will be able to transact in a formal way through banking system and take credit, manage their finances very well. And you cannot do that until you bring everybody into the financial sector. That is the inclusion. Also to train them to financial literacy so that people will be able to keep their records and know what the business is earning or losing. So to us, this agreement is very important, and we are very proud that we are part of it. Thank you.
Are there terms of reference concerning the MOU?
Yes, the agreement consists of responsibility for the institute and also responsibility for the Office of Vice President, which we will ensure that we keep to our own part of it. Thank you.
I think this is a very, very remarkable moment, and the fact that we are reaching out to over 10 million people bringing 10 million people into financial inclusion space will make a remarkable difference, because we know that women and youth, if you give them the right tools, they can actually transform anything they touch. And so this initiative under the auspices of the Office of the Vice President is a fantastic initiative to lead this forward. Now, for us in the Chartered Risk Management Institute of Nigeria, our role is to facilitate training in risk management. You know, if you know what to look out for as far as the risk to your business is concerned, you are in a better place to make good progress. So we are here to support this initiative, and that's why we've signed this MOU, basically to help train these 10 million people to manage their businesses very well, whatever it is they're doing very well, anticipate risk.
That we're addressing the key issues towards the growth and development of the Nigerian economy. And as innovators and entrepreneurship developers, you know, will play a very important role, because we need to develop the talents and initiatives of what to do. And we need to also restructure a number of moribund industries, and even those that are scared of investing, restore that confidence. And creativity and talent management are very important to the growth of any economy. And this is what we are going to do.
Thank you, sir.
You're most welcome.
Signing with the federal government means that we're going to be working together with the government in handling credit issues, especially for the ones that we're looking at today, not just the high end. We're looking at how can we work with the financially excluded people. You'll be surprised that with as little as 50,000 naira, the woman in the market can do a lot more. And we have to move from a cash economy to a credit economy. No economy goes being just on cash. And what are the things you look out for? Availability, affordability. So we have to ensure that this is available and they can also afford it. And part of what we do at the Institute is training. We actually train both those who give out the credits, those who will receive the credits, and those who want to support people receiving the credit. So our institute is all encompassing. We have to make sure that we reach out to.
Thank you so much, our media. The key aspect of what we achieved today is, first of all, to flag off the training of 10 million Nigerians based on the support we've been able to secure from our partners, Allison, which is an international body for training, in partnership with WAWU Africa, and She is Included initiative, which is one of the flagship initiatives in the Office of the Vice President. That is one. Then two, also, it's also signing of the MOU to collaborate with the key top professional bodies in banking and economic sector of Nigeria. You know, you've had all the engagement with them, ICANN, CIBN, CIS, NICA, CRMI, the NIIE, right? That's about 6 institutes. So the intention here is that for us to be able to penetrate to the nooks and crannies of this country with credibility, with integrity. These are the institutions, they have done a lot in that regard. So I'm sure by the time they rally around the initiative of the federal government to promote financial inclusion, financial literacy, digital literacy, economic inclusion, and all of that, so you know there's no doubt about the.
Okay. To democratize prosperity in Nigeria, there is need for financial inclusion. As a stockbroker, my institute, Chartered Institute of Stockbroker, has been the major institute in Nigeria promoting the $1 trillion economy. And we are doing that by 2030, that the GDP in Nigeria should be in the threshold of $1 trillion, should be in the threshold of $1 trillion. So we welcome everybody on board to embrace financial inclusions. That is an embrace prosperity for Nigeria. That is one of the cardinal principal objectives of this government, that they want to bail out as many people from poverty. And that is the essence of financial inclusion. And training is one of the cardinal objectives of Chartered Institute of Stockbroker. Training 10 million people, especially youth, that constitute 70% of our population, and women are quite...
according to the record available, we have about 64 that are already included. What we mean by that is that we are talking about 64% of Nigerians have been included now as a result of the various frantic effort being made by the federal government and the state government to ensure this, most especially the office of the Vice President of Nigeria. But we are still having 26% that is excluded. And we believe that the more people that are included, the better for us. Because the velocity at which money moves in an economy is what brings about development. That is why the Vice President, under the Committee of Financial Inclusion, has made it compulsory that we make sure that almost 100% Nigeria are included, so that there will be free payment system will be very seamless. The rate at which money moves from one person's side to the other will be flawless. The moment we are able to achieve this, development will come.
Now to judicial matters. Justice Joyce Abdul Malik of the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the remand of 9 suspects arrested over the killings in Yelwata, Benue State at the Kuje Correctional Center pending trial. The suspects were arraigned on a 57-count charge with the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, leading the prosecution. All 9 defendants pleaded not guilty after the charges were read to them through an interpreter. At the proceedings, the Attorney General requested an accelerated trial and asked the court to remand the defendants in custody pending the commencement of trial. He also informed the court that the prosecution will be calling 8 witnesses. Counsel to the first 8 and 9th defendants made an oral application for bail, but Justice Abdul Malik declined the request, noting that bail applications must be made formally in writing. In a brief ruling, the judge ordered that the suspects be remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center and adjourned the case to February the 26th and 27th for trial.
Nobody can make an accusation, but the important thing is you have the onus of proof beyond reasonable doubt. I can say you did this, you stole this, you did that, but you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. So we are not concerned about the number of charges. Let us get to the issue of proof. If you can prove beyond reasonable doubt. So we are not worried with the number of charges.
Staying with the judicial matters, the National Industrial Court sitting in Abuja has restrained the Nigeria Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, and 3 others from embarking on any form of industrial action or protests in the Federal Capital Territory. Justice Emmanuel Subilin issued the interim order on Monday while ruling on an ex parte application filed by the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, and the Federal Capital Territory Administration. Those restrained alongside the labor unions are the spokesperson of the NLC, Benson Opa, the General Secretary of the TUC, Nuhu Toro, and the Chairman of the FCT NLC, Stephen Nabai. The application, dated February the 2nd, was filed by James Onoja, SAN, on behalf of the FCT Minister and the FCTA. And after hearing the claimants, Justice Subilin granted an interim order restraining the 1st to 5th respondents, their agents or privies from embarking on any strike or protest, pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice. The Justice also directed the 5th to 9th defendants, who are security agencies, to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order in the nation's capital. And in the meantime, the Federal Capital Territory FCT, command of the Nigerian Police Force, has called on the Nigerian Labour Congress NLC FCT Council to reconsider and reschedule its planned peaceful protest scheduled for Tuesday, February the 3rd, 2026, citing security concerns within the federal capital city. The protest, which is expected to hold within the federal capital city FCC, was organized by the NLC in support of the Joint Union Action Committee, whose members are currently observing an indefinite strike over unresolved labor disputes with the Federal Capital Territory administrations. The appeal from the police followed a mobilization notice issued earlier by the leadership of the NLC FCT Council, directing the affiliate unions to converge on the Labour House as early as 7 a.m. ahead of the demonstration. In a statement released on Monday, the police public relations officer for the FCT command, SP Josephine Ade, disclosed that the Commissioner of Police, Mila Dantawaye, acknowledged the constitutional right of citizens to peaceful assembly, but warned of credible intelligence suggesting that the protest could be infiltrated and hijacked by the proscribed Islamic movement of Nigeria and other non-state actors. To security matters, the Defense Headquarters disclosed that the Nigerian Armed Forces has recorded a major operational success across the country in January 2026, dealing decisive blows to terrorist and criminal networks. Briefing the journalists in Abuja, the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Michael Onoja, said the troops sustained a coordinated offensive operation in line with their constitutional mandate to protect lives, property, and national assets. In the Northeast, operations against the Boko Haram, ISWAP, and JAS terrorists across Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa State led to the neutralization of several fighters, the arrest of 74 suspects, the rescue of 40 kidnapped victims, and the surrender of 44 terrorists and their family members. Air interdiction missions also destroyed terrorist hideouts in the Tinubu and Mandra Mountains, eliminating a senior ISWAP commander. He added that in the northwest, north central, and areas under operation, while troops neutralizes the terrorists, arrested over 200 suspects and rescued more than 150 kidnapped victims, with arms, ammunition, vehicles, and rustled livestock recovered. And in the South-South, security forces dismantled 53 illegal refining sites and arrested 81 oil thieves, while in the Southeast, over 80 militants surrendered, leading to a significant drop in crime rates. Major General Onoja reaffirmed the armed forces' commitment to sustaining operations nationwide and urged the Nigerians to support the security efforts by providing a timely and credible information, echoing the Chief of Defense Staff's directive for citizens to see something and say something. The Lagos State government has reiterated its commitment to the urban renewal and improved living conditions, insisting that its regeneration programs are people-centered and in line with the international best practices. Briefing the journalists on the recent demolition exercise in Makoko, the special advisor to the governor on EGIS and planning matters, Olajide Abiodun, described the waterfront settlement as a unique fishing community that requires a careful, inclusive, and humane approach. He explained that government interventions in Makoko are focused on safety, sanitation, and sustainable living rather than displacement. Abiodun disclosed that the state has committed $2 million to the proposed Water Cities project, an environmentally friendly redevelopment plan for Makoko being implemented in collaboration with the United Nations and other international partners. He stressed that the removal of structures along waterfront areas was strictly limited to high-tension power corridors, in line with the safety regulations, adding that similar clearances are being carried out across the state to protect lives and property. And according to the special advice of Lagos State's urban regeneration strategy, the strategy is not aimed at displacing the poor, but upgrading communities through dialogue, compensation, and collaboration with residents.
If we do not do them, then we are endangering the lives of the people that we signed and swore and vote to protect. As a result of that, you have something, areas are being classified action areas. This governor has actually not classified any area as an action area. The people of Makoko have been properly engaged, not only by the government, by the United Nations consultant. You know, everybody has done everything that we're supposed to do. But you see, the painful part of it is that this high tension thing, for those who are following Lagos State, you know that this thing started from the side of Amikole and a couple of other places. So an high tension cable fell and people died. It's the reason why all over the state a decision was taken that we needed to make sure that we clear the high tension corridor to ensure that the safety of life and property is paramount. It was just part of a larger plan to remove people from under high tension. It was not just done in Makoko alone. It was done all over Lagos, and I'm sure that the media will bear me witness. We were left with the Water Cities project, and we committed $2 million to it. Because the Water Cities project is the only one that is environmentally friendly. So we decided with the people of Makoko, together with the consultant of the United Nations, which is Professor Kunle Adeyemi, and we continue to work on it. As a matter of fact, a lot of my colleagues, particularly Pamela Ajebe and former Commissioner Idrissa, they went to Cape Verde together with the former General Manager of Nasura, you understand, to look at some of the do.
The Center for Human and Social Economic Rights, CHSR, has strongly condemned what it described as the criminalization of peaceful protest and an alleged attempt by the Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Mashood Jimoh, to distort facts surrounding the illegal demolitions, forced evictions, and killings across the state. And addressing the journalists at a press conference on Monday, the CHSR accused the Lagos State Police Command of abandoning the neutrality and professionalism, particularly following a recent damage control visit by the police commissioner to the Owode Motor Spare Parts Market. President of the CHSR, Alex Motense, said that silence in the face of injustice is complicity, insisting that the suffering of demolition victims across the Lagos must not be trivialized or politicized. He condemned the alleged intimidation, coercion, and the manipulation aimed at isolating Owode Oniro traders from other demolition-affected communities that recently staged mass protests across Lagos. Omotense made it clear that the protest was against the legal demolitions of forced evictions, economic destructions, and the killing of 6 young men at Owode Oniro on 27th of August 2025, alongside other reported deaths in similarly affected communities.
The quest of Mr. CP Mashood Jimoh to deceive and mislead the public and also mislead the Owode traders. He said that the protest on the 28th, that him and his men tear gas and injure people, peaceful protesters. The crowd were rented. And we are saying all what he said are nothing but lies. Every individual you see participated in that protest is either they are from Makoko, they are from Oko Agbon, Oworo, Otumara, Owode, Ajegunle, partly Bariga and Iwaya. All these were affected communities. They mobilized en masse because it's a joint team of demolished communities. Because since Lagos State government have taken it upon himself to render the poor homeless in Lagos, the poor also need to come together and speak in one voice.
For the House of Assembly member, for me, the matter will have degenerated to where it is if they had done the needful right from the beginning. Because CHSR, whom Alex is the leader, have been on this advocacy on behalf of Owode. They have made several representations to House of Assembly, the Lagos State government, and have even participated in all the protests that CHSR have embarked upon. But the House of Assembly have refused to look into this matter. How can you be demolishing people's houses? Because the matter at our hand is an existential threat, because those people on the waterfront, they've been there even before they erected those power line.
The Lagos state government should have a way to dialogue with these people. If you are driving them away from there, where is the alternative given to them? I don't think there is an alternative given to the people taking away. You took their lands, all in the name of mega city or whatever. This is democracy. We have rights to protest. Protest is our right. Injury to one is injury to all. I disagree with that statement of the CP, Jimo, that they were rented crowd. They were never rented crowd.
6 people sustained varying degrees of injuries from a road accident along the 3rd Mainland Bridge, Adekunle Corridor, inward Yanoworoshoki in Lagos, involving a painted Volkswagen commercial bus with plate number KRD 436XF. 6 passengers comprising of 2 adults, a male, and 4 adult females sustaining a serious bodily injuries, while 1 passenger suffered a critical ocular injury at the instant of impact. The fully laden commercial bus transporting passengers in conjunction with assorted household effects reportedly experienced a sudden mechanical failure of its braking system while in transit, prompting a loss of vehicular control, culminating in the bus capsizing onto its flank. In a statement by the Director, Public Affairs and Enlightenment Department of LASMA, Adebayo Taufik said that personnel of the agency who were actively deployed on routine surveillance duties within the affected corridor responded, and through a well-coordinated emergency response, all 6 critically injured victims were successfully removed from the wreckage. Well-meaning Good Samaritans swiftly transported 4 of the injured passengers to an undisclosed medical facilities for urgent treatment, and while officers of Adekunle Division of the Nigerian Police Force conveyed 1 male victim who sustained multiple fractures to a hospital for intensive medical care, as just operatives of the Lagos State Ambulance Services administered immediate on-site medical attention to another injured passenger at the scene of the incident. The Special Advisor to the Governor on Transportation, Honorable Sholakiwa, extended a profound sympathies to the injured passengers and their families. He cautioned the motoring public, particularly commercial transport operators, to desist from the perilous practice of vehicle overloading and to accord utmost priority to regular mechanical assessments. A Yaba cell of the Building Collapse Prevention Guard, BCPG, has raised the alarm over the impending collapse of a school building owned by the Lagos State government in the Yaba area of the state. In a letter addressed on the state's Commissioner for Education, Jamiu Tolani Ali Balogun, alongside and signed by the coordinator of the BCPG Yaba Cell, Engineer Bayo Ogunride, and the General Secretary of Fumio Lighter, the group said the distressed building is located within the premises of Mainland Senior High School or Onayade Street, Fadei, in the Yaba Local Council Development Area of Lagos State. The BCPG noted that the distressed 3-story classroom building has become a perpetual threat to the precious lives of students and teachers. It said following the death of about 20 pupils in the 5-story building that collapsed at 63 Master Street, Itafaji, Lagos Island, in March 2019, the Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory embarked on a non-destructive structural test of school buildings, and in April 2019, the Lagos State Building Control Agency marked the 3-story building at Fadei as distressed. The BCPG stated that it was worrisome that for over 6 years, the issue of the distressed school building remains untreated, recounting that the building collapse at Itafaji was marked for demolition but was not demolished before it eventually collapsed. The federal government says it remains committed to delivering a clean, renewable electricity to support economic growth, strengthen the energy security, and promote the long-term national development. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, gave this assurance in Ishen during the handover of the 6 megawatt Eco George hydropower project in Oyo State, expected to provide effective water supply, irrigation, and clean energy generation. The minister said the 6 megawatt hydropower plant would be rehabilitated under a public-private partnership, creating an over 10,000 direct and indirect jobs and serving as a model for the other dormant dams. He stated that the project is also a product of a standing synergy between the Federal Ministry of Power and the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation, and in a testament to how collaborative governance can unlock immense value for our people. The transfer of this national asset is igniting a new chapter of sustainable energy, operational excellence, and a private sector-driven growth for our nation.
Thank you so much. The Keregot Dam project is more than hydropower concession. It is a strategic intervention that underscores the federal government's unwavering resolve and commitment under the renewable agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to advance energy access, stimulate electricity market development, deepen power sector reforms, attract private investment, and unlock the vast renewable energy potential in the country. This is a testament to one of those strides.
Today, what we are witnessing here is the outcome of a strong collaboration between the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation and that of the Federal Ministry of Power, dating back in 2012, which aim at delivering hydropower infrastructure across the country, Nigeria.
Phenomenal, because we say it's a 6 megawatt dam, but it has a potential of doing 150. So, and the private sector has assured us that they are going to invest about $2 billion to ensure that we ramp up the power capacity of the dam. So, what we are saying is that this dam will bring employment to the people. It will address a lot of issues. So, we are happy.
Still in the southwest of Nigeria, the Speaker of the Osun State House of Assembly, Adewale Ekpedun, has insisted that the local government autonomy will not stop the House from exercising the regulatory functions and the financial controls over the local government in Osun State. Speaking at a press conference in Osogbo, the Speaker maintained that the local government chairman are not the signatories to the council funds. And Mitv correspondent Shami Umoni reported that the Speaker vowed that all funds expended by the local government chairman will be recovered. Ekpedun also alleged that the local government funds in the state are being diverted by the local government executives. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Association of the Local Government of Nigeria, Algon, in Osun State, Abiodun Idowu, debunked the allegations, maintaining that no illegal activities were carried out across the local government in Osun State. And at another press conference in Osogbo, Idowu said the financial autonomy granted to the local government has given it power to run its affairs without interference from the state government. The council chairman appealed to the state government to refrain from pursuing further legal action that can impede progress at the grassroots.
The legislative authority or the power of the state houses of assembly to make laws regulating local government administration, financial controls, and accountability are expressly recognized under Section 7 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The financial autonomy granted the local government by the Supreme Court does not negate Section 7 of the Constitution. Under extant Osun State laws and regulations governing local government administration, only career officers duly appointed under the Local Government Service Commission, including Director of Finance and Director of Administration and General Services, are lawful signatories to local government accounts. Politicians elected as chairmen, councillors, treasurers, or political appointees are forbidden from being signatories to local government accounts. The House therefore warns the United Bank for Africa (PLC) (UBA) in very clear terms that all illegal disbursement of Osun State local government funds, whether purportedly authorized by Mr. Gboyega Oyetola or any other individual, will be fully recovered and treated as deliberate complicity in a financial crime.
The attack are nothing but subtle jabs targeted at the presidency and the Supreme Court for putting into effect financial autonomy for the local government councils, so as not to bring governance closer to the grassroots. There is no illegality being perpetrated at the local government council level, and as such, all the allegations of the Speaker are debunked and outright denied as cheap propaganda to have unlawful access to the local government funds.
Whatever law that is enacted by any state of assembly, even Osun State House of Assembly, which is in contravention of the Supreme Court judgment, is null and void. So the Supreme Court has spoken that the local government is a tier of governments which has autonomous existence, and to that extent, it is the councillors or legislative councils in various local governments that have right to enact law that will regulate the activity of such councils, not the House of Assembly.
Let's take a short break. When we're walking back, we'll give you some stories now in the forward scene. Welcome back in the foreign scene. The Rafah crossing between the Gaza Strip and Egypt was partially reopened to the pedestrian in both directions on Monday, for the first time the key border post has been operational in over a year. The border opening, which is expected to allow injured and ill Palestinians to leave Gaza, which has been devastated by 2 years of war following the October 2023 Hamas attack on Israel. The Palestinians who fled the war will also be able to return to whatever is left of their homes in Gaza. The reopening of the Rafah crossing is part of a peace plan brokered by the United States, Qatar, and other regional powers, which has been in place since October 2025. Although both Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas have repeatedly accused each other of breaking it, it was a key crossing point both for the people and goods, with products such as the Palestinian olive oil widely sold in Egypt and throughout the Arab world. But when the Israel troops seized it in May 2024, that gateway was closed, exacerbating the humanitarian and economic crisis in the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, over 400 European Union ministers, ambassadors, and other senior officials say that peace must be brought to the Israel-Palestinian in accordance with the long-standing UN principles, resolutions, and international law. In a statement, the envoys and other officials said the immediate focus of the EU and the international community should be on reversing the current harsh realities on the ground in Gaza, as well as in East Jerusalem and the West Bank, where the security situations continue to deteriorate. The group raised concerns about the potential inadequacies of Trump's Board of Peace, a committee of people handpicked by the U.S. leader to oversee the next phase of his administration's 20-point plan for Gaza's governance and reconstruction. President Volodymyr Zelensky says that he has ordered Ukrainian military leaders to respond after a spate of Russian attacks targeting the railway infrastructure and logistic routes. His comments on Monday came after the Russian forces stepped up attacks, including on a train last week that killed 5 people in a railway car in the eastern region of Kharkiv. Ukraine has managed to keep its nationwide rail network running despite almost 4 years of war. Russian forces have prioritized the capture of the train hubs such as the Kupiansk and Pokrovsk in eastern Ukraine. Zelensky said in a post on social media that the Russian army remains focused on terror against Ukraine logistics, primarily the railway infrastructure. The state railway operators warned that several of its routes in eastern Ukraine are becoming increasingly high risk and urged the passengers to instead take the buses. And Iran has said that its expected progress on a framework to restart the nuclear talks with the United States, as unverified reports suggest that the country's president has ordered the revival of the negotiations. Tehran said on Monday that it is examining the several diplomatic processes pushed by the country in the region to ease tensions with Washington, adding that it's expected of a framework for talks in coming days. Their announcement came as Tehran and Washington appear to be pulling back from the threat of military actions. The U.S. President Donald Trump sent a warship to the Middle East after the Iran violently put down the mass protest in January, but he then called for Tehran to make a deal to resume talks on its nuclear program, which were abandoned in June when Iran was attacked by the U.S. and Israel. We'll now take a short break. When we'll come back, we'll give you some stories in sport. Welcome back in sport. Mikel Arteta said Arsenal are actively looking for a replacement for the injured Mikel Merino in the closing hours of the transfer window. Merino, who has been a valuable contributor in midfield and attack for the Gunners, could miss the rest of the season with a fractured right foot that requires surgery. Arteta stressed how significant the Spain international's absence is as Arsenal compete to win 4 trophies. The Arsenal boss hopes his club can come up with a new signing to fill the void before Monday's 900 GMT deadline. A former Italy international Alberto Gilardino has been sacked by Serie A strugglers Pisa, while the league's bottom side Verona dismissed the coach Paolo Zanetti after another defeat at the weekend. Pisa terminated Gilardino's contract after Sunday's 3-1 home loss to Sassuolo, left the club with just 1 win from 23 matches this season in the Italian top flight, while Verona ended Zanetti's 18-month stint in charge following the Saturday's 4-0 loss at Cagliari. The 43-year-old Gilardino, a 2006 World Cup winner, took over in summer from Filippo Inzaghi after Pisa secured a return to the Serie A for the first time in 34 years. Pisa and Verona are both 4 points from safety and face each other in the next match on Friday. And talking tennis, Novak Djokovic leaves the Australian Open still stuck on 24 Grand Slam titles and with a fresh doubt about how many more tries that he will have at the winning and outright record at 25th. The 38-year-old has consistently dismissed the talk of retirement and said that he is eyeing the defense of his Olympic gold at the Los Angeles Games in 2028. But after losing to Carlos Alcaraz in 4 sets in the final on Sunday, the Serb suggested that he may not be back in Melbourne. Djokovic won his 24th Grand Slam title at the US Open in 2023, drawing him a level with Australian Margaret Court at the top of the all-time list, but age and injuries, plus the emergence of world number 1 Alcaraz and number 2 Jannik Sinner, have left him unable to win another. Ethiopians dominated the Dubai Marathon with a debutant Nebat Melak winning the men's race and Chinelo Dasi taking gold in the women's race as the runners from their country swept the women's podium. Melak finished in 2 hours and 4 minutes, nearly 2 minutes ahead of their compatriots Yassine Haji, who took silver, while Rwanda's John Hakizimana came in third. Dacia shaved nearly 4 minutes off her personal best to finish in 2 hours, 18 minutes and 31 seconds to win the women's race. And after other compatriots Mulia De Kebo, who was leading the race, suffered stomach problems with little more than 2 kilometers to go, the fellow Ethiopians Mulia De Kebo and Fantu Woku finished second and third as Dacia won her third marathon in a row, having clinched gold in Seville and Beijing last year. And that's where we draw the curtain in tonight's news. I remain Victor Daniels. Good night.